Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. You're watching 24 videos in 24 hours. Did I say 24? Because I had some late comers. It's actually 26 videos in 24 hours. You're watching the 24th right now in light of the fact at midnight this evening, YouTube says it has no obligation to host anyone's video. And if your channel isn't commercially viable, they can just take it down. So I would assume now is the time to go check out Slow News Day podcast over at YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hopefully Steve's somewhat commercially viable, and hopefully Jason Burmis is somewhat commercially viable and will be sticking around. He's also one of the co-hosts over at ActionForAssange.com. They also have a great channel where they do a Wednesday night vigil. So without further ado, to be talking about this very real issue of a terms of service change and censorship via the internet is Steve from the Slow News Day Show and the Action for Assange Network. How are you, sir?
Jason, I'm all right, man. I worked my ass off today, and I'm happy to be here despite impending doom. And they keep trying to break us apart, Jason, and it's not gonna. The power went out in my town the last time that you were on my show. I had my computer froze as soon as I went to log in here. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna keep doing it.
It took like 3 times just for the hangout to work, and like you said, I think it was last week I was doing your show. I was getting into some nitty gritty, juicy stuff, and then the next thing I know, you're no longer available. And I think about 5-10 minutes went by before you actually got power back. But by that time, I was out of the house. I checked my messages. I wasn't able to jump back on. But you do a really great kind of subversive show. Your latest guest was actually Sam Tripoli, who was on the program earlier today in this 24 in 24 2-hour podcast. What do you think, outside of the censorship issue that we're talking about right now, outside of the Assange issue that you talk about all the time and obviously is very, very important, what do we need to be concerned with as an awake and aware populace?
What you need to look at, Jason, is green capitalism, as far as I'm concerned, because we've got this huge thing where Sunrise Movement and Extinction Rebellion. For almost 20 years now, Al Gore has been making fat cash off of this, where we're making a transition to possibly a more sustainable future, but we're lining the pockets of the exact same oligarchs all along the way. And I think that while it's important to be concerned about poisoned air and water and corporations dumping toxic pollutants into rivers and streams, and the military, which is the world's largest global polluter, I don't think that green capitalism is ever going to be the answer to Zionist globalist capitalism or white nationalist capitalism or any kind of capitalism or ism for that matter, because I think we done fucked up in all of our isms, and we need something new.
Well, when you talk about
but I would be very wary
Steve,
of people selling a green solution to something when 9 times out of 10 the exact same players in oil and gas and big tech are right there behind it.
Yeah, and then when we're talking about green capitalism, what we're really talking about is a plan for quote-unquote cap and trade, a global carbon tax, a tax on life, a tax on breathing. And what will it be for? It will be to further erect and legitimize global governance. Now, whether or not that's from some entity like the United Nations. They're the ones that tried to get us into the Paris Treaty, et cetera, et cetera. One of the few things that Trump did well was get us out of that. Most people have no idea what cap and trade is. They just say, oh, you're a climate denier. Oh, you're a climate. I'm like, no.
Well, and people forget. Yeah. People forget, Jason, that cap and trade originally was a Republican idea. it was something that that had long been considered conservative policy, and when Al Gore embraced it, Al Gore was one of the most far-right senators with a D next to his name before he became vice president. This is a guy who, may as well be made out of old money. And for cap and trade to now be the progressive policy just shows you, and this is what cracks me up right now in headed into the 2020 election, the bold progressive agenda for the most furthest left candidate that has, still running with a D next to his name, but considered very far left. His bold plan is to catch us up to where the rest of the industrial world was about 50 years ago. That's how out of step we've become, because we as a country are beholden to a very small group of people who don't necessarily live here, don't need to have loyalties to this country, just need to have a loyalty to that next dollar, that next million or billion or whatever it is.
Or that military-industrial complex that you just outed as the world's largest global polluter. Do you think the U.S. military is going to pay cap and trade prices? Of fucking course not. This is for the plebes. This is for the serf class. This is for the predator class to not only take control of more money and power, but more resources, and have higher regulation over large areas of land. Forget about eminent domain. This is that on steroids, on a road to globalization that, in my opinion, would be detrimental to us all. This cap and trade system does nothing to protect us from real environmental harm, real toxic things going into our sky, going into our ocean. Instead, what has been demonized? Carbon dioxide. That's the great demon. It's not it's not the mercury runoff from the coal plants. It's not all the different toxins that we're putting in the water. No. It's CO2. And unfortunately, when you try to bring that up to somebody that's so brainwashed that a guy like me is just taking on, big oil talking points, you almost can't get past that barrier. It's like, no, I get it, big oil's bad too. We should have other means of energy, but unfortunately the predator class controls big oil, so they're going to continue to use it. The predator class then, what they do? They went into shale and gas and natural gas that way. That's the next thing. They've already pretty much taken over the solar industry as well. And the bottom line is, if they can't use it to give you a monthly bill and control a very large aspect of your life and possibly get you in a tax credit system, they're not interested in it, Steve.
And it goes a little bit deeper than that, too, because Bolivia just got overthrown a week after Evo Morales said they were going to nationalize their lithium. What's lithium? It's in every single fucking cell phone battery. It's in smart car batteries. Lithium batteries, lithium-ion batteries are everywhere, and Bolivia just happens to have the largest reserves of it. I don't know what the U.S. interest there would be. We typically let Central and South American countries have their own agency, especially if they want to attempt a leftward slant. That's just how we roll, Jason. But in the 2020 NDAA, there's a little tiny section about rare earth minerals, and it basically discloses the United States declaration to make rare earth minerals our new oil, our new, our whatever, our new guns, oil, and drugs.
Well, Steve, let's talk about that for a minute, because a lot of people don't realize, obviously, the batteries in your phone are lithium, and this is a huge market, but somebody like Tesla gets a complete pass when his batteries in his so-called electric cars that are great for the environment, and I'm not saying that technology is bad, I'm saying you look at what people go through to get this lithium, you look at the slave mines and the human cost there, and it will never be discussed by the mainstream media here on some level. One, because they want to promote this type of thing, keep people in the dark. But number two, they've erected a demagogue in Elon Musk. He's the guy with the Cybertruck. He's the coolest, man. He's smoking weed with Joe Rogan. He's got a space program. Oh, yeah. And he wants to put a fucking chip behind your ear with a Bluetooth device, 4 fucking fiber optic wires in your brain. Call it Neuralink and say it's the best thing since breakfast. And they've already connected a chimpanzee to a computer. And what? It's applause all the way for this guy. Literally the end of humanity,
and now
the beginning
has
of
a really bad porn habit. And there's pictures of Elon Musk with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. The Elon Musk is the heir to an emerald mine, a South African emerald mine, an emerald fortune. That's where his money comes from. Elon Musk is not some like plucky environmentalist who worked his way up from just nothing, found them bootstraps, hoisted them, and now runs Tesla. He's the scion to slave labor, to slavers.
Yeah, listen, he's a guy that brought us PayPal with another guy, Peter Thiel, who happens to be the technology advisor to the president, a Bilderberg steering member, and as shown in my 2013 film, Shade the Motion Picture, he's openly discussed a private island in which he builds as a libertarian paradise with no laws and no rules. So you're telling me that Musk and him put together the largest digital currency platform used today by all of us, and this guy's supposed to be the benevolent technology angel that's going to save all of us? Yet anybody that knows anything about Peter Thiel knows that he's working with China, he's working with the globalists, he's working with the Israelis on Carbine, and so much more. This guy is bad news brown, and I would argue that Elon Musk, the way they've erected him, is just as dangerous, Steve.
Oh, absolutely, but you've got to be able to sell the American people a good guy and a bad guy. And a lot of people don't know a lot about Peter Thiel. But you should go read the global intelligence files from WikiLeaks, the Stratfor drops. And that will give you a nice introduction to Peter Thiel. But the bad guy is Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos literally fucking looks like Lex Luthor. He's evil personified. So if you put him next to Elon Musk, then you can sell them Elon Musk is the benevolent billionaire. He's the good billionaire. And it'll get more people. We didn't get into this when you were on my show because the power went out, but you did a couple of videos on it. The cyborg soldiers and the fact that technology and advanced Neuralink technology enhanced human, next
even
level
beyond that, I mean, we're not even just talking about a brain chip at that point. We're talking about literally allowing a foreign entity, whether that be AI or something else, to take control of your muscle tissue so that you can do things that you don't know how to do. They want to take control of your physical limbs. They're not even being they're not being secretive about it. It wasn't a classified document. They said that some of this technology already exists.
And they talk about the public's acceptance and the public's desire to throw money at this is what's going to drive and sustain the technology. That in the report. That's the fucking craziest thing. Like, they lay it all out. They let it go out in the public. And Sammy Tripoli has talked about this, too. Like, it's a thing where they have to declare intent. They have to come right out and tell you what they're doing. Otherwise, there's some serious dark magical consequences for what these satanic pedophiles do. But in the real world, they are just coming right out and saying, look, we're doing this. We're going full transhumanist, and fucking yes, the military is our guinea pig. However, we're counting on you suckers to fund all of this because we're going to sell it to you as it's better for you, it's immortality, or it'll cure your cystic
Steve,
fibrosis.
in that document,
whatever.
what did they say the way was going to be for this technology to become mainline? It was consumer products, not military. They said they had to acclimate the public several times in that document and get them used to the technology, use it as a consumer of technology, and then it would be okay to use it on the soldiers. Then it's okay to have cyborg soldiers running around the globe enforcing a global track, trace, and database police state. That's how I feel about it. We're running on 15 minutes. I've got your other co-host coming up at the top of the hour, Andrew, and then we're going to close it off with Titus Frost. You were number 24 in 24, but we're having 26. So you're my 24th video today. Steve, how can people support you?
I do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/slownewsday. You can find me on Twitter at Slow News Day Show for however much longer, and I hope it goes on as long as I want it to. I am on YouTube. Slow News Day Podcast is where you can find me there. And every Wednesday, I co-host the Free Assange Vigil with Andrew Smith and Christy Dopp and Taylor Hudak. That takes place at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And we do have a GoFundMe up because we're trying to get to London to cover the extradition hearing of Julian Assange.
And hopefully you get there. That's this February. Please be generous and consider donating to these guys. Thank you so much, Steve. We'll have to do it again soon. I want to thank you one more time. Guys, if you want to support my work, this is video 24 and 26. That's right, 24 and 26 today. We were going to do 24 videos in 24 hours at the top of the hour, but we actually snuck a couple in there in between, and we had some surprise guests like Dan Dix and Graham Elwood that I was not aware were going to make it today. We largely did this without any big hiccups. There was a hiccup with Richard Gage, but we fixed that. There was a hiccup with Derek Brose. We fixed that. We had all these guests. And if you like what I do, guys, you can support me financially over at the GoFundMe. I give away everything for free. Most channels don't do 24 videos in a month or 2 months or sometimes even 3 months. I am doing 24 videos in 24 hours, and not 24 videos in 24 hours, 26. We got 2 more to go at 10 and 11 p.m. Make sure to tell your friends to join the Burmese Brigade. Subscribe. I love you guys, and I will see you all on the flip side.